Hi, guys. Boy, it's Christmas. Welcome to the season of giving. But are you someone who gives too much? Do you even maybe give until it hurts? Are you somebody who, hey, buddy, considers yourself maybe too nice? Let's talk. Let's talk about that today. I know a lot of people struggle with this, so it feels like a really great subject matter for the holidays, especially when we're in a period of great busyness. And, certainly gifting is a part of that. Making ourselves available to friends and to family, whether it's going out for events for the holidays or just lending a helping hand to those in need. We all have this extra bit of generosity in our hearts during the holidays, and I think that is so special. It's really something to be celebrated. But what happens when that tendency to give and overgive goes too far? Well, I think in order to really address a topic like that, we need to first acknowledge the need in general, but especially during the holidays, to slow down in our process. We're all so very busy this time of year, and it can feel like there's a lot of extra pressure to perform, to be available, to celebrate in ways that make our family or friends or loved ones happy. We may find ourselves wanting to please a lot of different people in our lives around the holidays, right? And if you're like me, if you're a giver, that's just something that kind of comes second nature to you anyway. But here's what can happen sometimes, particularly around the holidays, when we're all stretched so thin and moving so quickly. It's almost as if we don't afford ourselves the time required to check in with ourselves about how we feel about the different commitments that we've made during this season. Perhaps there are obligations that you have that you typically want to fulfill. Sometimes people ask us of things, and before we even know it, we've said yes. Has that ever happened to you? And then afterward you felt a little bit pinched, as if almost you kind of wish you wouldn't have said yes. So here's why slowing down is so important. And I'm going to speak in a way that really conveys this. And I want to acknowledge that I know that this way of communicating is a little bit antithetical to our society's mode right now. Have you noticed? We're kind of being pressured to move quicker and quicker by society. Even the little ways that we take in social media, it's gotten smaller and more compact in the form of shorts and little videos, little snippets. It's almost like society is pushing us toward quicker and quicker action and quicker and quicker metabolization of information. And if I'm honest, I just don't think that's healthy. I think what we need to do is slow down and breathe. We need to remind ourselves, or maybe even learn for the first time, how to slow down. Check in with our internal experience. To notice and reflect on the different ways that our body, brain, and nervous system might respond to the external environment, particularly if someone is making a request. Because what often happens is there's this knee-jerk reflexive response built right into us to want to satisfy the request, right? And before we even know it, we've sort of agreed to something that we might not be able to safely or comfortably fulfill. So what are some of the cues that we want to look for when we're checking in with our internal experience? Well, first off, we want to slow down our breath in just such a way that we're gently drawing our awareness inward. So starting with the breath, we're noticing what are those bodily sensations that come about connected to the breath. What's my tummy doing? What's my diaphragm saying to me? What's my heart doing? What are my hands doing? Am I fidgeting? We might also notice other things. There might be thoughts that are generated which accompany the experience of someone making a request. We may have impulses. There may be other sorts of sensations that come about. There might be other associations that are created in our mind, sort of like a memory or a bank, a series of memory experiences that all kind of tie together. If we tune in, sometimes we can notice that there's a whole suite of emotional experiences that kind of flood our awareness internally in certain experiences, like being asked to do something. It could trigger certain core beliefs about ourselves or about our role in relationships or even in the world. And so this is a lot of automatic reflexive stuff that might come up when somebody's asking us to do something that could be based in childhood or other areas of our development, particularly if we are someone who has experienced trauma or challenging and adverse experiences, especially one on top of the other. If that's the case, we may have trauma-related core beliefs about ourselves or about the world or relationships that come up when people ask us to do something that automatically obligate us internally to feeling like we have to produce a yes. You see how rich our internal experience can be? How much information lives in there if we just tune in? Now, I want to admit it will take a while to get good at figuring out, how do I feel? What do I need? What happens for me when somebody asks me to do something? It's not automatic. It takes practice. So, in the meantime, one thing that you can do, hey friend, is buy yourself a moment. And the way to do this is just simply ask, say, I'm going to need a minute. Let me think on that. Can I get back to you? Hold that thought. Let me just check in with some other folks. Let me see what the Hubs has to say. You see how right there, just saying that, you've bought yourself some time to maybe take the time to explore your internal experience later on about the request. What comes up for you when you think about doing whatever you've been asked to do? Whether it's fit in one more holiday engagement or another party, whatever it could be. And you're worthy. You're worthy of taking the extra time to figure out, can I lovingly say yes to this? And if not, figuring out a graceful way to say no. Because guess what? You get to say no. not only do you get to say no to things, you get to notice what happens in the other person when you do. And whatever it is that comes up for them is not your responsibility. But it can be tempting to falter on that no when we get some negative feedback from the other person. But that feedback is very valuable information about where that other person's boundaries lie. So I want to leave you with one quick little yardstick that you can use to measure, can I say yes to this and have it still serve me? So here it is. If you suffer, it's not giving. If you suffer, it's not helping. Okay? Think about that. If what you're being asked to do would cause you to have to rearrange your schedule, frantically search for some other way to fit this in, or cut corners in your own life somehow, whether it be your relationships or your self-care or your own scheduling, that's you suffering in order to appease or create the yes for this person. And that's not actually a helpful behavior for anyone, right? If I have to suffer in order to do for the other, I would hope that the other wouldn't want my help, right? So that's a great way to measure inside. If saying yes to this is going to create suffering or undue difficulty or strife for me, then it's not worth it for me to say yes, and it doesn't actually benefit the people in my life for me to do that. Now, if you start doing this on a regular basis, you're going to get really good at learning who it is in your circle honors your limits and who has their own work to do in being able to create and maintain healthy boundaries for themselves. So as you're moving through the holidays, please remember you truly matter, and you have a limited and finite amount of emotional and physical resources at your disposal. So make sure you're using them in a way that honors you, as well as the people around you. Because the people that love you, and you say no, they love you anyway. I think Dr. Seuss said it pretty darn good. He said, those who mind don't matter. And those who matter don't mind. I hope that's helpful this holiday season, and I hope Santa has something wonderful in store for you.